Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hello Redlo podcast. I'm your host, Terry Mullen, and I'm so excited about what I have in store for you today. My friend Katie Jolly is here, and you are in for a treat. She's just an amazing human, and she has so much to offer. And I'm just so excited for you to hear what she has to say. And I hope it touches your heart and soul and just blesses you and makes a difference in your life. But Katie Jolly is a natural medicine practitioner from New Zealand who is reframing mental health to brain health. And I love that, by the way. Her 25 years of study in the well-being space has been motivated by lived experiences of mental health, concussion, and ADHD. Her mission is to shine a light into the mud to reframe brain labels and ignite our inner warrior. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome my friend, Katie Jolly. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I'm so glad. And we met through this course that we're taking, and you just have so much to offer. Every time you do your posts, it just is filled with so much light and love and shedding light on just our personal growth and mental health. And it's a platform that I'm personally really intrigued by, and it's touched my life as well personally. And you're just an amazing storyteller. So thank you again. And just tell everyone a little bit about your background and how you have stepped into this space, and just kind of share a little bit about you, who you are, and with your lovely accent that you have.
Oh, thank you so much, Terry. Well, I guess that brain health or mental health has kind of been my theme since I was quite small. I was an ADHD child, undiagnosed, back in the late 70s. So I had a lot of problems with that, and then anxiety and depression for most of my life. Suicidal ideation. I attempted at 23, and just sort of had this journey of really feeling broken. And what I found, like looking back, because we always learn so much from looking back at our lives, right? Is that when I was broken and nobody could fix me, I studied. So I was overweight at 18. I had binge eating disorder, and I was 25 kilos overweight, whatever that converts to in the States. So I studied personal training. Started studying personal training. That was one of the problem, but my nutrition was still flawed. And then at 23, I was diagnosed with fatty liver disease because I was binging on sugar, and my mental health was just terrible. And that's when I attempted suicide at that point. The doctors again said they couldn't help me. I was put on antidepressants, and I started studying natural medicine. So nutrition, herbs, supplements, all the sort of lifestyle factors. And then that was the beginning of my journey. And then diagnosed at 28. Then I had postnatal depression when I had my son. So I started studying mindset and studied yoga. And it was just this journey of things going really, really wrong in my life, and quite often going to a doctor and them saying, look, we can't help you, take a pill. And then that motivated me to study more. And then from out of my journey, I started helping other people with mental health and health problems. But the really big catalyst for me was in 2020 when during COVID, we were in lockdown, and I went for a run, tripped on a rock, smashed my knee on a rock, and smashed my temple on a rock, and ended up with post-concussion. And I was in rehab for a year. And the whole journey of being leveled to absolutely nothing, I didn't have any self-esteem. I would literally be screaming, rocking in a cupboard, from the pain, from the noise, the light. And for anyone, and the mental health journey and the brain health journey are exactly the same. We get to a point of darkness where we feel broken, we've got a label, and all the answer is medication. You're broken, take this pill. And I went, and I was so reliant on the specialists at that time. Even though I had all of my knowledge of nutrition, of fitness, of lifestyle, of mindset, I was so leveled, and I was just relying on the painkillers, the nerve inhibitors, my ADHD meds, everything to just make me normal, but it didn't. And I went to a specialist, and he said to me at the time, he said, I think, this was about a year later, and he said, I think that you're distressed. He said, I think you need to take your medication and do yoga. And I walked out of the office and I felt this deep pit of despair, because I also thought of all the people that didn't have the knowledge that I have, you know, that would be sitting in that specialist's room and just told, like, you're broken, go take a pill, live your best life and do yoga, you know. And it was from that moment forward that I got super obsessed about brain health. And it was really interesting, because what I started to see was this pattern that everything the concussion specialists were telling me mirrored my journey of mental health. You know, the anxiety, the fatigue, the brain fog, the depression, the panic attacks, everything that a person experiences through concussion mirrors exactly what we experience in mental health. You know, and from there I started to obsess on it, and I did the rehab with militant execution. You know, really, really looking at what would help the brain. And eventually it was a year of this militant behavior that I came out the other side. And then another 2 years of this study and this brain warrior focus to really get to a point where I knew I needed to help other people.
Wow. And it's so powerful,
Yeah.
because you really are now a lot. So it's been 3 years, right? So you've
Yeah.
struggled with the mental health. And then when you had your concussion, that was 3 years ago, the
Yeah.
concussion. Wow. And you've
Yeah.
done this healing through not only the exercises that you learned to do, but also through your nutrition, correct? Just the way
Absolutely.
you're eating.
Nutrition, exercise, mindset is massive. And I think for all of us, when we go on a growth journey, like even for yourself, we go on this growth journey where we feel crappy and we're like, oh, well, I'll start exercising. And you feel a little bit better,
Yeah.
but not all the way. So then you start looking at nutrition, and then your mental health still might not be better. So you start meditation. And it's just these bricks that we put in place. And the bricks actually build this amazing house and this toolbox that we can draw on ourselves. And that's the really big thing for me with my mission. My mission is to go back in and pull people out of the mud and make them realize that mental health is brain health, you know. And if we really focus on looking after our brains, then the mental health picture actually gets transformed, because we're not broken. You know, if you get a label, you're not broken. It might just be that there is something else going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen that in clinic, especially for women, you know, women with postnatal, women with anxiety, women with depression. More often than not, their iron is incredibly low.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and low iron causes anxiety, it causes irritability, it causes muscle soreness, it causes fatigue. And so if the doctor hasn't run those bloods, you've got a woman that might be going through perimenopause, menopause, you know, she's just had a baby, and the doctor is like, you're exhibiting all the signs of depression, take this pill.
Yeah.
But she actually might need to increase iron in her diet, and the problem solved.
It's so interesting. I just went to my doctor, and so she said that menopause is like puberty for women all over again. And
Wow.
isn't that eye-opening? I thought that was
Yeah.
so powerful. It did exactly. I just saw your reaction. It was the same for me. I was like, wow, no one has ever said that to me. But it makes me think, when you're even talking about low anxiety, low iron, when we go through this midlife, which we do when we're, menstruating. But we have the anxiety, we get the brain fog, all of that. It's likely low iron when we
Yeah.
go through menopause. So that's so fascinating, Katie.
Yeah. And
Really
the
interesting.
other interesting thing is zinc as well, which is related to, there's 40 different metabolic processes in the body that it's related to. And low zinc, they've found, links into anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder and anorexia. Yeah. So
So,
really interesting.
so fascinating. So you practice, you have people that you see in practice, and then I know you're launching your course as well, where you talk about no sugar and all that, which is super exciting. And I'll give everybody the show notes. We'll put that in the link when we're done. But um, if you were to see someone like me, across the waves and the waters here, and do you analyze people's blood and kind of tell them what they're low in? Do you do that?
Yes, yeah. So that comes from, it might be called something different in the States, but in here it's a naturopath.
Uh-huh.
So we're trained to read blood tests. So
Okay.
what's I found really interesting, which might be worthwhile for the viewers, is that when you go and get a blood test, it's like the goalpost, the reference range you get on your blood test, so like the two goals at the other end of the football field,
Mm-hmm.
and it's generally for most practitioners, as long as the ball is within those two goals, they'll say no problem, right? But for iron in New Zealand, the reference range is between 20 and 220, right? So your bloods might be, and I've seen so many women that they're sitting at 24. They've got all the symptoms of being depressed.
Yep.
Their iron is extremely low, but the doctor doesn't pick it up.
Yep. I love it that you said that. It just makes me want to do a happy dance because I have hypothyroid. So same thing. The range is what,
Ah,
0.4 to 4.0 here in the US. It's probably very similar. Um, and as long as you're within that range, you can be at 0.5 and you're okay. So that
yeah,
just makes me so happy to hear you say that. And I love what you do. It just makes me so excited. So it's true,
yeah.
right?
Thank
You know,
you.
where it's not, you've got it depends on where you fall within that range, whether you're normal, right?
Yeah. And it's about understanding, and that's what I've said for such a long time with my clients. And I learned this lesson firsthand myself with the head injury, is that we need to get to the point of taking our power back,
Mm,
not relying on somebody else to say, for you, oh, you have, you're not hypothyroid, but you have all the symptoms of hypothyroid, you
right,
know?
right.
And being able to go, okay, what can I do for myself to leverage my empowerment?
Yeah.
Eating more seaweed, adding selenium, adding Brazil nuts, mushrooms. There's all these different things, and the internet is full of them. But if we really tune into our own bodies, then we can start to leverage our health and well-being.
Mm, so great. I have a friend that had a traumatic brain injury, a pretty severe one. She was in a car accident a few years ago, and so and she has become her own advocate.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just love hearing all this. I love so much what you do. When with your healing of getting healthy again, it's been kind of like you said, kind of this brick layer. It hasn't been really one thing. It's all kind of been everything together, right? Taking care of your health, taking care of making sure you're eating properly, um, all these different things that you've done that have helped you heal, right?
Mm.
If you were to say, what are the one or two things that have helped you the most? Is that a fair question to ask? Has it been just kind of a combination of everything? Or have there been one or two things that have really, really helped you heal the most? Is that a fair
Yeah, I think
question?
probably the three main factors is exercise,
Mm,
like daily exercise. And this has been great for the ADHD as well. Like it's a major part of ADHD is actually exercising daily. But what it does for the brain is it oxygenates everything.
mm,
So for people that have got post-concussion or any type of TBI or even anything with the brain at all, daily exercise is key. The second is nutrition,
mm,
like really, really looking at the nutrition that is impacts the brain. Like I've been teetotal for 2 years now.
mm.
I used to really like a whiskey on the rocks.
Uh-huh.
Very, very much like my
Uh-huh.
whiskey. But what I found is that it would slow my brain down, looking at caffeine and how that impacts the brain, especially for anxiety. Also for depression, because we get a kick, we get a lift from the caffeine, and then it drops us back down again. And quitting sugar. Sugar is, yeah.
That's key. The sugar.
No comment, sugar, just in case there's big corporations listening.
There's what? Say that again. Say that again.
I was just saying, I've got a bit of a personal war on sugar, but I'm mindful of all the big corporations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
oh, sorry, Terry.
No, it's okay. That's good. Keep
I
going.
was just going to say the third thing, which is critical for all of us, is actually starting to use our brain like a remote control and realizing that we actually have power over our thoughts.
Okay, dive into that because that's really cool. Explain a little bit more about, if you want to, explain what you mean by that, because I think that's really interesting. I'm intrigued by what that means.
Yeah. So what I found, and this was during the year of the concussion rehab, is that I would find people would come out and see me and they would start gossiping or start talking negatively, and I physically felt sick. Or I would watch the news and physically feel sick. And it was just this, I started to notice this pattern of basically of what was coming in, so the information that my brain was taking in, if it was negative, it was making me feel sick. And then the thoughts in my head would also physically make me feel sick, if they were negative based. So I came up with this idea, and it's not new. I mean, there's so many studies. I studied the work of Jose da Silva, which really looks at using the mind as a computer almost, and being able to use our brain like a remote control. So if a negative thought comes in, being able to immediately squash it.
Okay.
So turning around and saying, oh, Terry, nobody wants to hear what you've got to say. And then you say, actually, that's not true. I'm just reaching one person and that's enough. So you start having these conversations and then really starting to look at the content coming into your brain, because then you're in control of the computer.
Wow.
So it's like an algorithm, like if you're doing a Google search, right? And you punch in what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Our brain is exactly wired the same way. Our brain has its own algorithms. So whatever we're inputting, that's what we're getting.
Wow. That's so powerful. I mean, I'm a lot like you. And unfortunately, with everything that's going on in the world right now, I cannot watch the news. I take it on so personally. I am very sensitive to it. And so I just, without even, knowing what this conversation was going to be, I have to really limit what I take in. It has to be positive and enlightening. And even like you saw the post that I did yesterday, just about the I am statement. So that's kind of similar. Instead of saying, I don't know how to do that, you immediately catch yourself.
Yes.
And then replace it and say, oh, no. I know, Terry, you know what to do. You know exactly what to do. You can solve this problem. And so you kind of have that self-talk. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And what I found really powerful for myself and also with my clients is it's a Tony Robbins thing, right? Our brain needs evidence.
Yeah.
And being able to, when a challenge hits us, being able to go, okay, how am I feeling here? When have I felt like this before and overcome it?
Yeah.
Because every single woman listening to your post, listening to this podcast, we've all overcome massive struggles.
For sure.
Yeah. So when things face us, being able to go, hey, I've been worse. I've had worse. I got through worse.
And as one of my clients said to me, that words, and I think I shared this yesterday, words have energy, and your words have incredible energy. They're light, they're love, they're encouragement. So I thank you for that. One of the things that before we started to hit record, and I didn't want to dive into it too much because I wanted you to say it, but you do a lot of posts and you come up with this new content and these new stories and metaphors. Share a little bit about what you were saying to me before, how those things come to you, because they're spirit driven. So share a little bit about that, how those things come to you, because I think it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Without sounding crazy, I may be flagged as crazy if I share this.
Not at
But
all.
so it was August 2020, so it was a few months after the head injury, and I'd had enough, and I drove to a really remote lake without any cell phone service.
Mm.
And I had a bottle of whiskey, a great big satchel of medication because I was on so much of it. And my intention was to overdose and die, right, at this lake. And I walked around the lake with my head down the entire time, and I found a little place at the water, and all I wanted to do was wash off my necklace so that I could leave it for my daughter, who was 6 at the time. So I sat there with my head hanging low, and I was crying, and all of a sudden I heard this voice in my head saying, "Look up." And it was so strong. And I looked up, and I was sitting, and I could see the base of this most beautiful snow-capped mountain. It was breathtaking. And the birds were flying, and the light was dappling on the water. And I was sobbing. And the voice said to me, "You are at the bottom. You can't go any further. Look up. Keep looking up." And at that moment, and by the lake where there was no cell reception, my phone started dinging with messages. So messages from my family, messages from my husband, messages from clients who wanted me to help them. And I walked back to the car. I put all the medication in the bin. I took the whiskey home, but and basically ever since that day, I have heard this voice. Sometimes it's louder than others. But what I was sharing, we were talking about before, is that I'll actually get up in the morning and I say, "Okay, God, what do you want me to share today? What do you want to talk about?" And it's been interesting, Terry, because I've had, like a number of coaches that are on my posts and things. And, I think that people think that my intention is sales driven, that I'm just about making money and getting clients. But I have been in the darkest holes you can imagine. And I'm sure some of your listeners know how it feels of not wanting to be on the planet.
Yep.
And I have been there, and I really feel like God pulled me out of the pit so that I can go back in. And I don't care how I do it. If I do it by going to the supermarket and shining light, if I can do it with the hockey team that I coached and just see the light in those kids as they start achieving stuff, like that's my mission. So I don't really care how it happens. And so there's a little bit of God in the posts that is coming through. So yeah.
That's so powerful. There's a whole lot of God coming in through you and what you say, and that brought both of us to tears. And so I just pray, and I know whoever's listening in right now, that that's going to really bless a lot, and it blessed me. And that's what I love. I mean, it just is, you're so real, Katie, and so genuine in what you're doing. And wow, for me, I just sit here and think all the hard things that we go through in our life, it's worth it, right? When you can shine a light in someone's life and make a difference. And all of us, none of us are without our struggles. And I think what's so inspirational is that if you are in that dark place, just to hold on for just another moment and realize that there is light. There are other people that have gone before you, that have gone through it and get to the other side. And then to see the impact and the platform. I say platform because I think you have an incredible platform to really help people and just set people free from, I think social media is, and we're all a part of it because we're all doing these online things, but it can be such a trap if you don't manage it properly. Throwing medication at people just to say, "Oh, go fix it." We've lost so much of this connection one-on-one and the compassion and showing people a way out, in a really genuine way. And so I'm just speechless, honestly. Like, it's just amazing. And I'm just grateful for you. I'm grateful. And I think I shared when I was 17, I had in my book, I shared this a 7-month experience, and I heard a very audible voice that said, I wanted to jump into the river, similar. And the voice said, if you don't jump, I will guide your life forward. So I connect with all of that. And so, um, you know, there's good work to be done. And I thank you. That's why your light shines so much. You feel it in a completely different way. It's just wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think we all have it, right? We've just lost, whatever God is for everyone. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what label you put on it.
Yeah.
Like I say at the at the church, which people obviously give me the side eye, thinking I'm a bit crazy. And I'm like, if they worship a carrot in their fridge, but it makes them a kind human, does it matter?
Mm. Yeah. It's
You know,
true, right? Right?
it's like, and when I spoke to the preacher secretary, and I said to her, because I joined the church at the end of 2020, so it was after my head injury, and before then I just believed in a universal energy. I'd read a lot of all the different world religions and indigenous creation stories, and she said to me, "What is your God?" And I said, "Well, I believe that there's a light and there's a darkness." And I said, "You might call that God or Jesus and the devil." I
Mm.
said, "But it's a light and it's a darkness." And I said, "It sits within all of us."
Mm.
We've got this, especially with mental health, we've got these two
Wow.
forces that are fighting each other all the time. And being able to go, I choose light,
Mm.
I choose light. And whatever fills you up, whatever brings that light up in you and
Mm-hmm.
that light up in our families, being able to just embrace it and share it. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of your version of what light is. It could be macrame, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's
Like, if
true.
that's your thing, do more of it, you know?
It's true. We
Yeah,
get so hung up on trying to put a label on it rather than expressing what it is, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's so well said. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I know you're getting ready to um, do a class, right? Are you doing a master class that's coming up where you're helping people?
Yeah. So
Tell a little bit about.
today I'm doing a masterclass on quitting sugar.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that's today?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But do you also have you launched your course, or are you just doing one-on-one coaching?
I do both. So I'm
Okay.
doing one-on-one coaching for either the quit sugar, or I've created a program called the Green Brain.
Okay.
So really moving, because the red brain is fight or flight. So most people with mental health issues are sitting in the red brain and looking at moving to the green brain. So that's everything. Um, all of the hacks and tips and my background study to
Hmm.
help people with their brain health in general, and then the quit sugar course. So those are kind of the two things that I've got going at the moment.
Wonderful. And as you can tell, I mean, you are so well spoken and so articulate and so knowledgeable with everything, not only your own personal journey, but just also because of it, the studies that you've done and the information that you've gained. It's just, I'm, I really am speechless. I am so excited, and I need you to help me too. So, sugar is just such an addiction for all of us. And I am very intrigued by that too. Just, of course, I drink coffee. I'm a coffee lover. So there's things I definitely need to quit for my own brain health, just to continue to, especially as I get older, I'm finding that those things I'm not as tolerant anymore as I once was.
Mhm. And I think one thing that I learned from my journey, Terry, I'd have all these specialists that would give me advice out of a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember turning around to one specialist and I said, "Thank you for your advice, but you're not living my life."
Mm. Wow.
And that is one thing that I would like to share with you and with all of your listeners, is that just because there's a new bestseller out about how to eat, eat like this and be amazing, it may not work for your body.
Mm.
Just because coffee doesn't work for me doesn't mean that it's not beneficial for your body, because there are studies on both sides. So it's coming back to that idea that we need to be our own advocate.
Mm. Yeah.
And we take in the information, we see how it sits in our body, we try these things, but at the end of the day, it's your body. I'm not living in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And neither are any of the world experts. They're not living your journey. So
Yeah.
you get the information, and then it's about you.
And that's the one thing also that I just love about you, that I really admire. And I see it in your posts, and I've seen with just some of the actions that you've taken, that you honor you. You honor your voice. You do not just go along with the crowd. You are able to stand firm on kind of what you believe and what's best for yourself. And you're teaching your kids that, per the post
Yeah.
that you did today, was just made me just my heart soar. It was awesome. It was so good. And is that as a result? Have you always been that way? Or is this just as a result of kind of everything you've gone through, the brain injury, just the depression, all that? What has caused you to have that inner resolve where you honor yourself and you don't just go along with what everybody else is doing?
It was really the head injury, to be honest. At the beginning there was no thought. I
Mm.
can still, apart from these wild emotions, there was no thought, there was just emotion. And I guess my self-esteem was so flawed because my identity was ripped out. It was like a midlife crisis put in the microwave
Yeah.
and radioactive. So I didn't have any self-esteem whatsoever. And the building back of myself was really based on this ultimate humility, that I wasn't better than anybody else. I wasn't better than anybody else, and I lost, which I didn't have before the head injury. I have no desire to be better than anybody else and steal their light,
Mm.
because I
Yeah.
felt so low. I know what it's like. I've got no desire to be at the trumpeted as amazing, because we're all amazing, right?
Mm. Mm.
And that takes away my fear. That takes away my fear, because I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be better than anybody else. I'm just me. I'm just me. And that me is just a vessel for the light. Full stop. Full stop.
Wow.
If you
And
if you like me, great. If you don't like me, great.
wow. There's no ego involved in it at all.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Wow. Another
And
mic drop.
it's been interesting, because again, when I've done something that's been really good and people have gone, "Oh, you're amazing," all these clients have had amazing results, I'm like, that's really good for you. You are the one that did the work. And
Mm.
they'll be like, "No, no, no, you're amazing." And I said, "No, no, all I did was I gave you a spade and you dug yourself out of the hole."
Wow.
There's
Wow.
no, what's the point? I just think if we, um and this is just for me, Terry, is that when we get to this point where we need to wrap ourselves up with achievements and wrap
Mm.
ourselves up,
Yeah.
um, we know that there is always going to be someone greater.
Mm-hmm.
There is always going to be someone less than, and it's the people who are in the mud that I care about. So I don't want to be that, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Huge mic drop. It's so good. It's true. And that's why you've got almost like this Mother Teresa like thing where you're just a vessel, where you just allow God's work to happen in and through you, which is such a powerful message for all of us. You know, that's the light inside of you and allowing no ego to be involved, because then you really do help people. When you do that, you get out of the way and you're just a vessel, you're just an instrument to facilitate that. So, wow, it's just so good.
And we all start off like that. You look at little kids, right? You look at little kids, baby animals, you know, and I don't know when it changes. I was thinking about this. I don't know quite when it changes. I think maybe 3 or 4 when we start to become indoctrinated with the rules of life.
Mm.
You know, and we learn that we have to behave in a certain way in order to get love. You know, that's probably another podcast.
Yeah.
You know, all of those rules and
Yeah.
conditions that we place on ourselves in order to get love and in order to give love. And it just wraps us in this cloak of falseness, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, whereas if we just are who we are and we're kind, you know,
Mm.
if there's no malice behind how we're living, there can only be good that comes of it, right? And there's
Yeah.
always going to be people that don't like us,
Right.
and that's okay. Like, we don't need everybody to like us. There's over 7 billion people. Like, really, who wants that many friends?
That's so good. It's true. We don't need that many friends. And it's
Yeah.
true. Not everybody's going to like us. Not everybody's going to get it. It's okay. Oh, this is so good. How old are your kids, by the way?
So my little girl is 7.5 and my son is 10.5.
Oh, wow. What a gift you are as
Yeah.
a mom. You
Yeah,
know,
we started late, my husband and I.
you no, but just a gift that you are to your children, just the way you think now, and just your, it's just so good that you let them be who they are. You're not trying to put them in any kind of a box or make them follow all the rules, and you just want them to be kind humans. And so, what a gift that is. Mm.
Yeah, I said to I had a review with my son's teacher, and because he's got dyslexia, that's what I wrote about in my post, and he struggled with the school system because he's got ADHD as well. Um, and she sat down and she reviewed, and she said, you know, his readings come up, and oh, he's doing a little bit better in this, and his spelling is still really poor. And I said to her, as long as at the end of the year that he's a kind human and he's resilient,
Mm.
I don't mind. I said, because he can jump on Chat GPT and his life is fine.
Yeah, exactly. How did she
You know,
respond to that? How did she respond?
she the same response I get from most people. I get that kind of side eye, like there's something not quite right with me.
I love it. I love it so much. I just love all that you are. That's just powerful. Is there anything else that you would like to share that we haven't touched on, any other light that you would like to shine in this beautiful world with your voice and all that you're doing?
Probably the main message which I'd like to share with
Yeah.
yourself and with the people listening is that you're not broken.
Mm.
You know, you're not broken, and it doesn't matter where you've come from, what you've done, what the old story is. Everyone has this little grain of sand of light. You know, we've all got that inside us,
Mm.
and being able to grow that, you know, and enjoy who you are.
Mm.
Enjoy who you are. We only get one life. We all go out in the coffin. That's the only guarantee.
Mm.
You know, and everything that we are scared of is just stopping us from shining our light in the world. And we all deserve our place in the sun. You
Mm.
do, I do, we do. We all deserve our place in the sun.
Wow. Just beautiful. I I feel like this is really, I've done several interviews, and this is one of the interviews where I sat here and I'm just in awe of everything you've said. It's just, and I'm going to have to go back and listen again too. There were so many amazing things that you've said. It's deep and it's so powerful. And I know you're going to shed incredible light and love to so many people. And I just pray right now that this just goes out into into the airwaves, that people really hear your message, Katie, just because you are such a gift of a human. And I'm just so excited for the work that you're doing. I really am. And thank you for this time today. Thank you for blessing me and for sharing who you are. I'm just grateful, really, really grateful. And so people can work with you one-on-one. They can reach out to you. So I'll put all this information in the show notes so that they can contact you. But even no matter where you live, you take people globally that you'll work on
Yes.
Zoom, like one-on-one, and they can reach out to you and just for any kind of mental health or the sugar and the nutrition, and the brain health issues, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Anything to do with brain health is my niche.
Okay.
Um,
It-
yeah, yeah. And reclaiming the superpowers. That's one thing that I'm finding that I can do is really look at flipping someone's pain into their superpower. Yeah.
So, for lack of sounding completely ignorant, so give a concrete example. So, about that.
Yeah.
When you
So I've got a client that I've been working with out of New York, and his main thing that he's a TBI survivor,
okay.
and he kept saying, "I'm neurotic, I'm neurotic, I'm neurotic." But this man, Terry, you would not believe, I would tell him to switch his diet, done, right? I would tell him start going to the gym, done. I would give him exercises, bang, done, right? And I said to him, you are not neurotic, you are focused, my friend.
Mm.
Right. So being neurotic became a superpower. And I said to him, I have not met a client in my 25 years who is so amazing at executing instruction. So similar with I've got clients who have got ADHD and being able to go, okay, the superpower of ADHD is hyperfocus. And you haven't got anything that is driving your light at the moment. Let's find it. So no, you're not broken, you're just bored.
Wow, Katie.
You're bored in the classroom, you're bored at work, because people with ADHD, as soon as they find what they are passionate about, hell for leather, you cannot stop them. You cannot stop a person with hyperfocus who is on.
So,
You're not broken, you're just misdirected.
wow, there's just so much. And I know this will probably make you uncomfortable, but truly, there's so much magic in you. And I want everybody to follow you and listen. And whoever needs you, please reach out to Katie. Like I said, I'll put it all in the show notes because you are a gift. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a warrior for everyone. And thank you for blessing me with this conversation today.
Oh, thank you, Terry. You're a blessing as well. Thank
So,
you.
everyone, I will put this in the show notes. You will find Katie. It's Katie Jolly. I'll give you her Facebook, Instagram, and the email I think you gave me. So, I'll put all that in there where they can reach out. And I'm excited for everyone to hear this. And this will go live next week. So, I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any
Thank you,
closing
Terry.
final words? Is that it? We're
No,
done?
lots of love and keep shining.
Yes, please. And just listen to all these mic drop moments and just golden nuggets she gave all of us. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.